All right, welcome back. Let's continue with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and this time look at the Druid. So just like the other classes, they got some new features, new spells, things they want to introduce, and we're going to look at the Circle of Spores also. I think this one here is going to be a big favorite. So right here at the beginning, we'll enlarge this a bit. They mention just class features up here, and then here they jump right into the additional Druid spells. Now if you look here, we got a decent spell list being added for the Druids. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, right there. And a few of these you may not be familiar with, so we'll look here at 1st level, Protection from Good and Evil, been around forever. 2nd level, Augury, Continual Flame, Enlarge and Reduce are always favorites, and then Summon Beast. We'll see what happens with that. 3rd level, Aura Vitality, Elemental Weapon, Revivify, and Notice Summon Fae. The Druids have always been the kings of the summons in 5th edition, and they continue to be. 4th level, we got Divination, Fire Shield, always a favorite, and Summon Elemental. 5th level, Cone of Cold, 6th, Flesh to Stone, 7th, Symbol, and 8th, Incendiary Clouds. They got some nice spells added to the Druids for this edition right here in Tasha's. So right here at the beginning, Wild Companion, they've got a 2nd level Druid feature. You gain the ability to summon a spirit that assumes an animal form. As an action, you can expend a use of your Wild Shape feature to cast the Find Familiar spell without using material components. So you'll have to use up one of your very valuable Wild Shape features to cast Find Familiar. I'm not too sure that as DM, I wouldn't just give them the Find Familiar spell. I think Druids ought to have that as much as anybody, so I might make a few alterations to that. It continues by saying when you cast the spell in this way, the familiar is a fae instead of a beast, and the familiar disappears after a number of hours equal to half your Druid level. So at least they do get a companion option right there. Then we've got cantrip versatility at 4th level Druid. We've seen this before with other classes. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can replace one cantrip you learned from this class's spellcasting feature with another cantrip from the Druid spell list. So they've been needing that for some time. Now below this we have Druid circles at 2nd level, right? You always got 1st, 2nd, or 3rd depending on the class where you get these additional circles or colleges, whichever one is per class. So with Druid 2nd level, a Druid gains the Druid Circle feature, which offers you the choice of a subclass. The following options are available to you when making that choice: Circle of Spores, Circle of Stars, and Circle of Wildfire. So with Circle of Spores, this is a very interesting right here because it almost makes these guys what I like to think of as like a necromancy druid. And when you look at some of their special abilities and spells, well, you'll see why they lean towards the necromancy option there. So coming back up here towards the top, they tell you the Druids of the Circle of Spores find beauty in decay. They see within mold and other fungi the ability to transform lifeless material into abundant, albeit somewhat strange life. These Druids believe that life and death are parts of a grand cycle, with one leading to the other and then back again. Death isn't the end of life, but instead a change of state that sees life shift into a new form. Druids of this circle have a complex relationship with the undead. They see nothing inherently wrong with undeath, which they consider to be a companion to life and death. But these Druids believe that the natural cycle is healthiest when each segment of it is vibrant and changing. Undead that seek to replace all life with undeath, in other words, the evil ones, or that try to avoid passing to a final rest, violate the cycle and must be thwarted, in other words, destroyed. Then we have circle spells here. So here they give the different levels here. It says your symbiotic link to fungi and your ability to tap into the circle of life and death grants you access to certain spells. At 2nd level, you learn the Chill Touch cantrip. I think that's odd at 2nd level you get a cantrip. It's kind of weird they do that. At 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th level, you gain access to the spells listed for that level in the Circle of Spores spells table. So again, at level 2 there you get a cantrip, but of course since you don't pick up the circle till level 2, I guess they felt that was the only way to do it. Once you gain access to one of these spells, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day. That's one of the great things about them. If you gain access to a spell that doesn't appear on the Druid spell list, the spell is nonetheless a Druid spell for you. So here they show you. At 2nd level, you get that Chill Touch. 3rd, blindness/deafness in gentle repose. At 5th, animate dead. So there's some other necromancy looking objects right there. And gaseous form. 7th level, blight and confusion. 9th, cloud kill and contagion. So those are some good spells. So here to look at Halo of Spores, 2nd level Circle of Spore feature. You are surrounded by invisible necrotic spores that are harmless unless you unleash them on a creature nearby. When a creature you can see moves into a space within 10 feet of you, or starts its turn there, you can use your reaction, so notice not action but reaction, to deal 1d4 necrotic damage to that creature unless it succeeds on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. The necrotic damage increases to 1d6 at 6th level, 1d8 at 10th, and 1d10 at 14th level. So it's nice to see an increase in damage that's definitely needed. How about this picture right here? A gnome druid of spores picks mushrooms with its bullywug zombie companion. So look at this. They can create zombies. Again, another necromancy-like feature. So here they have next symbiotic entity, 2nd level Circle of Spores feature. You gain the ability to channel magic into your spores. As an action, you can expend a use of your wild shape. So again, we see them here forcing you to use your wild shape for one of these new options here. So you use your wild shape feature to awaken those spores rather than transforming into a beast form. So in other words, swap your wild shape out here. And you gain 4 temporary hit points for each level you have in this class. While this feature is active, you gain the following benefits. When you deal your Halo of Spores damage, roll the damage die a 2nd time and add it to the total. So you get 2 dice being added there. Your melee weapon attacks deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to any target they hit. So it's going to improve your melee weapon attacks, doubling the damage of a bunch of them. These benefits will last for 10 minutes until you lose those temporary hit points or until you use your wild shape again. So again, you're using up your wild shape for this symbiotic entity here. Then at level 6, Fungal Infestation. Your spores gain the ability to infest a corpse and animate it. So there's where the zombies come from. If a beast or a humanoid that is small or medium dies within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to animate it. So it doesn't even require an action here, causing it to stand up and immediately have 1 hit point. The creature uses the zombie stat block in the monster manual. It remains animate for 1 hour, after which time it collapses and dies. Now, if you look at the zombie in the monster manual, it's got 22 hit points. As DM, I would give this animated zombie not 1 hit point. I'd give it 8. I'd give it a full hit die right there. That way it's not so fragile. Tell me what you think about that right there. In combat, the zombie's turn comes immediately after yours. It obeys your mental commands, and the only action it can take is the attack action, making 1 melee attack. So again, that's why I'd give it more than 1. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. So next we have at 10th level, Spreading Spores. You gain the ability to seed an area with deadly spores. As a bonus action, while your symbiotic entity, which we looked at right up here, feature is active, you can hurl spores up to 30 feet away where they swirl in a 10-foot cube for 1 minute. Notice that's not a 5, but a 10-foot cube. The spores disappear early if you use this feature again, if you dismiss them as a bonus action, or if your symbiotic entity feature is no longer active. Whenever a creature moves into the cube or starts its turn there, that creature takes your Halo of Spores damage, which we mentioned up here, unless the creature succeeds on a con saving throw against your spell save DC. A creature can take this damage no more than once per turn. While the cube of spores persists, you can't use your Halo of Spores reaction. So not a bad little extra that they've added in right there. And I like the little cube part to it. And then here we see at level 14, Fungal Body. The fungal spores in your body have altered you. Now you can't be blinded, deafened, frightened, poisoned, and check this. Any critical hit against you counts as a normal hit. How big is that? Unless you're incapacitated. So that level 14 ability right there is a great one. Getting all those immunities and no criticals on you, that's very big. So after that, just look at these few little spells that they've added here, like the Summon Beast, a second level conjuration. So there we can see one action, 90 feet, requires 200 gold to cast this right here, so got a little bit of an expensive component. You call forth the bestial spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the bestial spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose an environment, air, land, or water. The creature resembles an animal of your choice, notice animal, that is native to the chosen environment, which determines certain traits in its stat block. So we'll see below that changes it up. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. The creature is an ally to you and your companions. In combat, the creature shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your verbal commands. No action required for this. If you don't issue any, it's going to take the dodge and uses it to move to avoid danger. So here's the bestial spirit. Notice this one's a small beast. Armor class 11 plus the level of the spell, so that'll improve. Hit points are going to be 20 for air. Notice they always make those hit points lower for anything that has a fly speed. 30 for land or water, and plus 5 for each spell level above 2. So you can up that. Speed 30, 30, look at that fly of 60, so climbing and swimming are 30, but the fly will be 60. Notice this thing has a strength of 18 as a small beast, con of 16. Has dark vision 60 feet, and then they get down here to the flyby if it's in the air form only. The beast doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it flies out of an enemy's reach. Pack tactics for land and water only. The beast has advantage on an attack roll against a creature if at least one of the beast's allies is within 5 feet of it, which often it will, and of course the ally can't be incapacitated. It has water breathing in the water form, just as you would expect, and actions, multi-attack. The beast makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level rounded down. So this thing could have up to 4 attacks, not bad. Maul, melee weapon attack. Your spell attack modified to hit, reach of 5 feet. It's going to do 1d8 plus 4 plus the spell's level in piercing damage. So that'll increase right there too. So a lot of information given on that summon beast. Now if we look right here next, we got the summon elemental. This is the 4th level conjuration spell here. So we see one action range 90 feet, got 400 gold will be needed in components, duration up to 1 hour. You call forth an elemental spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the elemental spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose an element, air, earth, fire, water. The creature resembles a bipedal form wreathed in the chosen element, so it's going to be humanoid in appearance, which determines certain traits in its stat block we'll see below. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or the spell ends. The creature is an ally to you and your companions as before, and here they have the elemental. Now this one's medium elemental, medium size. So armor class 11 plus the level of the spell. It's always great you can improve that. Hit points 50 plus 10 for each level. So you can get this guy up to 100 hit points, not bad. Speed, we've got 40 feet. Burrowing, 40 feet in earth form. Flying, 40. Can also hover, of course that's air only, and then swim 40. So that's a very good movement speed. Look at some of these stats. Strength of 18, dex 15, con 17. Pretty good. Here's damage resistances, which you would expect. Acid for water only. Lightning and thunder for air, and piercing and slashing for earth. Has immunity to poison, and then fire for fire only. Condition immunities, exhausted, paralyzed, petrified, poison, unconscious, as you would expect for elementals. 60 feet of dark vision. So again, there's the different forms, and they tell you the elemental can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch, just like you see with other elemental forms. Attacks, multi-attack. Once again, the elemental makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level, so you can up that to 4. Has a slam, melee weapon attack. Your spell attack modifier to hit reaches 5 feet. 1 target, 1d10, plus 4 plus the spell's level in bludgeoning damage for air, earth, and water, and fire for the fire form. So it's got a lot of information right there. You can really customize that one and get it just the way you want it. And here they have the Summon Fade, which was the 3rd level. So one action, 90 feet again, 300 gold to cast this one. Same duration, 1 hour. You call forth a Fey Spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the Fey Spirit stat block right below. When you cast the spell, choose a mood. Now get this, a mood. Fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. The creature resembles a Fey creature of your choice, so very broad there, marked by the chosen mood, which determines one of the traits in the stat block. And of course it disappears again at 0 hit points or when the spell ends. It's the ally. Fey Spirit. So this one's going to be small. Now this one starts with armor class 12 plus the level of the spell. Hit points 30 and then another 10 for everything above 3rd. So get this one up to about 100 too. Speed of 40, good speed. Got a dex of 16, con 14, intelligence 14, charisma 16, good stats right here. 60-foot dark vision, can't be charmed as you would expect. Multi-attack, the Fey makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level rounded down. So again, you can get those up high. Evidently, it always has a short sword here. It says melee weapon attack. Your spell attack modifier is what's needed to hit. Reach of 5 as you would expect. It's going to do 1d6 plus 3 plus the spell's level in piercing damage plus 1d6 force. So a lot of little pluses being added up. There's going to be some nice little hits with that short sword. Bonus actions, Fey Step. The Fey magically teleports up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. One of the following effects occurs based on the Fey's chosen mood. Fuming, the Fey has advantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of this turn. Mirthful, the Fey can force one creature it can see within 10 feet of it to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. Unless the save succeeds, the target is charmed by you and the Fey for 1 minute or until the target takes any damage. And then lastly, there's Tricksy. The Fey can fill a 5-foot cube within 5 feet of it with magical darkness, which lasts until the end of its next turn. So again, a lot of variations with all these summons that we have right here. A lot of information to look over. I think the Spore Druid is going to be a big fan favorite out of Tasha's. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.